Welcome back to Joygasm, a video game and movie podcast. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360. He, of course, is Steve, Xbox Live Stevavitch. And we're getting in touch with our inner shinobi in episode 115 today, March 28th, 2019. We're going to be able to do our standard howdy doody time before we get into our topic of the day, which of course is the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice play impressions, which you can fast forward to if you look at the timestamps located in the episode's detailed section of iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, etc., etc. Otherwise, just keep listening. Steve, how you doing?
Russ, I gotta say, happy birthday to you.
Oh!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
You know, I must say I am slightly disappointed because I was expecting you to burst out of a birthday cake naked.
I know, Russ.
Well, maybe not naked, perhaps with a...
Oh, now is the first thought that came to your mind.
With a banana hammock.
Hey. I'm make it bounce for you, big dead or alive style.
You know, at the time of this recording, it is technically not my birthday. My birthday is in 2 days. But then once this actually goes out to the general folks...
Once this drops
like a hot potato, I will be joining the club that is 40. So,
Russ, I sort of have a card for you. I have it.
I found a card for you at the store. I almost bought it, but then I put it back.
Right. No, you see, what happened was I bought a card for you last year.
Oh.
And I was going to give it to you last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was a bit busy and I kept forgetting to give it to you, so I thought I'd give it to you this year. And at some point, you came over or we rode together somewhere and I had to hide it from you, and now I have to remember where I hid it last year.
So it's certainly not one of those you're turning 40 birthday cards.
Yeah, I don't think it's your turning 40 birthday card.
That's okay though. That's okay. It's not like I need the you're 40 now birthday card. It's kind of like the go-to thing that people do. Is like, oh, you're 40. Yeah. Over the hill.
Well, it's going to suck if it's, hey, happy 39th. Because you're like, yeah, well, the message is still the same. So,
the gist is there. Whatever.
Oh, but I did get you something here. It's soaking up my back sweat. Got it.
What, you actually do have something in your shirt? He's pulling. I don't know what the heck he's pulling. Oh! Yeah, it smells like your back too. Well, isn't that nice?
Didn't think my back had a stench.
A little bit of the old. Well, it's like the essence of Steve. It's the bro musk.
You know, Russ, I was gonna get you that, and I thought, no, I'm gonna get him Sekiro.
Sekiro, Steve.
Sekiro. And then I came over last night and you were like, hey, got some games. I'm like, great, here we go. Got this one, you want to play it? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's play it. And so then I thought, well, I don't think he has this one. Matter of fact, I know he doesn't have this one. And it needs to be added to the library.
Well, thank you very much. It is the Halo Master Chief Collection for Xbox One. Yeah, you know, this is a very fine gift indeed, good sir. I've been meaning to play back through all of these, as the remaster that you have been describing to me sounds like it's really cool to be able to kind of go back and forth. And this is one of those titles that kind of got away from me. I was planning on getting it, and then I just didn't. So
glad I was able to beat you the punch.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I played a little bit of that this weekend, and it's still.
You've beaten this already,
oh,
right?
Yeah. It still has all the same magic as it has before. The pistol in that game is the best pistol for a first-person shooter that I, for one, have ever played.
I really cannot think of another pistol that is better
right
than the one that's in Halo.
Yeah.
It certainly is just, it is your sidearm. It is the sidearm of sidearms.
Yeah.
It's your go-to for when your battle rifle or your assault rifle or your needler is exhausted itself.
Right. So I played the silent, or actually, I was going to say the silent cartographer level, and then I played some big team battle.
Oh,
There's still people who play it. I got my butt handed to me, but I managed to score average to low average.
well, you're probably pretty rusty.
Yeah, I was like, how do I switch weapons? How do I jump?
We were actually pretty good at that game back in our heyday of playing the big team battles and that sort of thing. I mean, we weren't like with some players you go against and it's just like, my goodness, it was like they just mopped the floor with us.
Right.
But, you know, we had our posse together every now and then and we would actually be a pretty formidable team. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to revisit a lot of this. These games are just so top tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say thought out, top tier.
Yeah, like you play it and you're like, man, like I actually look forward to going back through and playing the older games just to be for nothing else, be reminded of how well thought out the game design is. And the gameplay mechanics are just so good.
Indeed, I think they were planning on so that one does not include Reach because
Oh, really?
I think they were planning on bringing it out DLC style, but that one's 1, 2, 3, and Quattro.
Well, that's still good though.
Yes.
That is surprising though that they would include Halo 4, but they don't include Halo Reach because that didn't. Yeah, Halo Reach came out before.
Yeah.
Halo 4.
Right.
That's interesting.
Kind of odd, yeah. And it doesn't include ODST. I think ODST.
You know what though?
Oh, yeah.
This is the Master Chief Collection.
Yes.
And even though you do play as a Master Chief in Halo Reach, I don't recall if you're actually playing as John Spartan.
Yeah,
117.
you're not.
So that may be kind of the whoa,
Yeah, the technical. It's a little technicality. So
windpipe decided to close up on itself. Hey, I still need to breathe.
Anyhow,
we've talked about this pipe. When I inhale, you expand. When I exhale,
essential.
things are gonna get really awkward really quickly.
So happy birthday, Russ.
Well, thank you. Yes, I was just talking to my wife about it today, and man, it is so crazy. And you know, I realize I'm about to talk about the exact same reaction that tons and tons of men and women who are about to turn 40 have. And it's so funny because like I've been really good at just not getting into like freaking out about it or talking about it or whatever. And one of the big reasons why is just because I was telling myself I don't want to be like one of those people who just go through the standard lines of dialogue as it applies to when you turn 40. But here I am. But yeah, it is crazy to think about how I was 20 years old 20 years ago. Like that was half my lifetime ago. Mm-hmm. Which is it just blows my mind. I mean, it was 20 years ago that I was still in college. I was getting my computer video imaging degree on, going through all that. But
how nice.
It is crazy. Like just when you think of how quickly time goes by. I mean, I remember being in my 20s and thinking of someone who was 30 as being old. And then all of a sudden I was 30.
Nuts.
and then like I'm thinking, well, at least I'm not 40 because I mean 40 is like really old.
Because 40 sucks.
And now here I am on the doorstep of being 40, and it's just crazy to like look at, like at least in my 20s. My 20s went by, I think, slower than my 30s. I think that the older I get, the faster everything goes. And it just makes perfect sense because I remember like when I was like 10 or 12 and just looking at being 20, I was thinking that's like a lifetime away. And it felt like a lifetime away. By the time I finally hit 20, I'm like, geez, that took forever.
Yeah.
And then by the time I hit 30, I was like, okay, well, the 20s went by a little quicker than I would have liked, but it took me a little while to get here. And now I'm 30, but my 30s just like in a snap have just come and gone. It's crazy. And I was actually talking to my in-laws recently about just the whole like speeding up of age. And I asked a certain question that was like, okay, I realize that like the older I get, the faster the years are going by. Does it ever slow back down again though?
No.
Like, or does it just constantly speed up? And like, there was kind of a disagreement because my father-in-law said that it does slow down again.
No, Rose, it slows down.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, son. Why don't you sit on down there and have yourself a Coke?
But no, it was really fun to listen to his perspective on it because he was saying how, like it will continue to speed up for a while. And then you'll reach a certain age where then suddenly it does feel like it's starting to slow down a bit. It won't slow completely back to how it was when you were a kid, but at least there is some sort of like, I don't know, life event or experience or something that happens that causes you to be that way. So we'll just see what happens, but I can't wrap my mind around the idea of just when people ask like how old you are, I'm gonna be like, I'm 40. And let me tell you, Steve.
Are you gonna tell them that with a weird kind of smirk on your face and a wide bug-eyed look?
Gosh, man. I think this is the first time where I don't like telling people my age. I was totally fine with it up until this point, but like for some reason I'm having a really tough time coming to grips with like, like when you hit 21, you're like, oh yeah, you want to see my license? You want to see my ID? I bet you do. Even if you don't, you do, because I want to show you I'm 21. Or like if you hit like 25, you're like, oh yes, I'm feeling much more mature in my age as 25. I'm not like one of those young whippersnapper immature people like 21-year-olds. I'm 25. And then you hit 29, and 29, you're just like, well, I'm 1 year away from being 30. I'm going to have to kiss my 20s goodbye. That's kind of unfortunate because, when you're in your 20s, you're young and sexy and everything's hard. And, you can eat anything you want to eat. And you can barely sleep and you're still doing great. Oh, okay. Well, 30s, it's whatever, And then you hit like 35. And at that point, you're kind of like, wow.
Everything's
okay.
soft.
Yeah, it's kind of harder to get out of bed, and I don't really feel like going to the club as much as I wanted to in the past, or whatever. It's just, and it's so funny because you're like, well, but still, 35 is a very coming of age when you think of it. When you're just like, oh yes, I'm 35. I have some life experiences under my belt, and I am farther along in my career. I am married, or perhaps I've been married a couple of times. I have no idea, depending on who you are. But then when you hit 39, you're just kind of like, okay, this is no longer fun. This is no longer cool. And I think it'll probably change around a bit. Like, I'm sure like once I hit like 50, it's like, okay, I'm 50. Here I am, 50. Yay.
I got 30. About 30 years left. Maybe 40 if I'm lucky.
Yeah, you just never know. But I mean, that unto itself is also a mind job where me being 40, suddenly I'm 10 years away from turning 50. It's no longer like, oh, yeah, that's like 30 years away until I'm 50. So, luckily for me, and maybe even for you, Steve. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's inside of me, though, is still very much like a 10-year-old. So, I'll be embarrassing tons of people I know and love for years.
Well, that's nice, Russ. Thank you for that disheartening yet positive message.
I try to paint a picture for you, Steve, because I know you're not too far behind me. You'll be here in my shoes before you know it. And then we could be 40 together.
Won't that be nice?
I saw some 40-year-olds. Actually, I love how... did you see that thing with Louis C.K. a while back where he talked about turning 40? And how he's like, when you turn 40, it's like... you're obviously not in your 20s, but you're also not old enough for anybody to care. It's not like someone said, "Oh, I helped a 40-year-old cross the street today and I felt really good about it." It's like, no, just keep doing your job, you moron. This is great.
I think I must have missed that one, Russ.
You should YouTube it. It's a classic.
Don't recall. Anyway, so I put down Anthem.
You put it down.
I put it down.
Temporarily
For a while.
Big baby Big baby Moose contact me today with the interest/desire of wanting to play Anthem with us tomorrow. So you may be finding yourself picking it back up sooner than you thought.
I'd say okay to pick it back up, Russ, but I figured, this week I'm going to put it down. Picked up some Master Chief, like I said I did. I also picked up some Forza.
Yeah, I thought I saw you playing.
Yeah.
Was it Forza 3?
No.
Forza 4.
I brought back Forza 3, Russ. I started playing Forza 4 again. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to pick myself up a copy of Forza 3 because it's probably like $15 by now.
Well, yeah, and plus you should have that in your catalog anyway. That's a fine title, if I do say so myself.
Best driving game I've probably ever, not ever. I don't know about that, but it's the new staple. I've said it many times. Continue to say it.
That staple has lots of horses.
Anyway, so the house that I have in the game is the beach house, right? I said I bought that place. That's the one place I wanted. It's the one place that I got. It's the one place I'm going to stay.
And you playing the Beach Boys songs over and over again?
Yeah, exactly. So when you're at your house, you're at your location, you don't hear anything. The music's not playing because you're kind of sort of not in your car. And you hear the waves roll in, you hear the wind, whatnot. It put me to sleep. I got home from work and I was like, play some Forza. Why not? I haven't played it in months. I throw that back in there and I heard the waves and I started checking my phone and I zonked out for like 2 hours just listening to the waves and the wind. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know. I got to eat some dinner. It's 9:30 p.m.
I must say that I have had similar instances, not for the sound of the waves, but that game, the sound design is actually really calming. Like if I pause the game, you know how the sound gets that like 50% muted kind of thing. I'll be on my couch and like I'll pause it doing the same thing you're doing. Like I'll check my phone or doing something and it's just there and it's pleasant to the ears in the background. I have fallen asleep. I've dozed off like several times and I've woken up only to look at the TV. I'm thinking, oh yeah, like what? I didn't even realize I fell asleep.
Well, then it happens where the Xbox goes to like not sleep mode, but like that temporary mode.
Right.
And it gives you kind of some notifications and then your brain thinks, hey, I don't hear anything anymore. What? And it wakes you up. And when it's, not necessarily anything loud, it's just not constant like it used to be.
Sure.
So yeah, I been playing that. And I watched again was I watched Black Panther. It's been about a year or so.
Is that like your third time watching?
Second time,
okay.
Did I watch it twice? I forgot if I watched it twice. It definitely felt like the second time around, though.
I think you saw it. I think this is your third time.
Maybe it's my third time seeing it. First time this year, though.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So anyway, watch that one again. That one's okay. I mean, it's okay. I like the story that they built up, and I like T'Challa interacting with his father. I love all those scenes. Oh
yeah, the family bloodline stuff I think is really good.
Yeah, and his sister and his mother, and they really built that up, which is really cool. I just really do. You know what I like about it too is that all the tribes had that common respect for the power that they gave their king, and then you took the power away, and they did some combat to see who would reign supreme, and that person would get. I think that was just an awesome concept, but I just think that the villain in the movie, they didn't give him enough screen time, and then I think they wrapped it up a little bit too quick, and I think they could have. I don't know if it was probably just Disney with the amount of money that they were given the movie. I don't know. I just kind of wished it was a little bit longer, I guess.
I really like that film. I think the only thing I remember, if I had a criticism about it, was just the final battle scene. I think was a little lackluster.
Yeah, that is definitely true, and a little bit too much like CG. So, but anyway, that's Neither here nor there. Also, I got the 5th season of 24. I'm watching them all, Russ.
Well, as well you should.
I need to take a break every once in a while after I finish a season, but
I'm not even sure how many seasons there are.
I think there's 9.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think there's 9. But still very good. Still good. We're on the 5th season.
All-time favorite TV shows ever.
It definitely deserves every award it has ever received.
Yeah.
Possibly more.
Super good.
It's amazing. Well, that's about it with me. I know I got some Netflix sitting on your windowsill that I got to
You
check
do.
on. And you know what I have Infinity War sitting at the house from Netflix. I know we're going to watch it before Endgame. So I'm keeping it at the house.
Good.
You better come over and watch it too. Come over and slap you.
I will. I'll watch that, and then we also need to watch Gantz Zero.
Yes.
Maybe we can do that tomorrow night.
Been waiting. Yeah, it doesn't sound too promising, Russ.
Well, I'm...
Exactly.
So
there you go.
You know what? If tomorrow night doesn't work, then I know Sunday definitely will work. And I'll tell you why. Both my wife and daughter are going to some sort of Disney on Ice show thing, and so I will be by myself.
You'll BB?
I will BB. BB. So actually, that might work out even better. Maybe we should play on Sunday. Sunday. And
if you're in jail, break out. Be there. So anyway, what else are you up to, Russ?
Oh, well, I thought you'd never ask. Earlier this week, I was in New Mexico doing a video production shoot. And that was actually a lot of fun. I had never been to New Mexico, and it was really neat to be able to check out a different part of the country and check out more of like the kind of the desert lifestyle. There were certain similarities that I found to Nevada. Not entirely so, but just I found myself thinking about it since I lived there for 2 years, and it was a lot of fun. We were in and out. We were having to wake up at 4 a.m. and working until the wee hours of the night, and just really productive. The results that we got left us very excited, and so it was nice to be able to feature this employee who has been with the company for like 42 years. Just amazing. I'm thinking, man, I don't even know like what that feels like to have that kind of job security. It's like you take the 4 out of that equation, and that's about kind of the longevity I have at each job I've been at. But no, it was really cool to be able to see just a different part and just drink in the visuals, just check it out. It was really neat. And again, I was in this kind of constant learning process. In New Mexico, there's actually a prominent Native American presence as well as a Hispanic presence. And so it was really neat because when you're seeing the locals there just going about their business and stuff, you really see some neat like facial characteristics and attributes and stuff. Like I'm not used to seeing that. And
oh my goodness, a Native American.
Yeah.
Tourist.
But I mean, it wasn't just like it was just them, but I mean, obviously they were like, you know, white folks and just that sort of thing. But like, it was neat because I don't normally see people with that kind of genetic makeup. Like normally I see lots of Asians and Caucasians, African Americans, like that's kind of like the going staple, or like Hispanics. But like in this instance, I saw like, it was like either totally Native American, or you'd have like a mix of like Native American and Hispanic. And I found myself like, I was trying not to stare like in awe because I was like, man, that looks really cool. Like the jaw lines are all like super defined and like, I don't know, like all this stuff was really neat. But, and they were super friendly. That was the cool thing too, was just like, I mean, they could tell I was like a tourist. I mean, even though I was working, I wasn't like on vacation, but
the I Love New Mexico hat probably gave it away.
Yeah, but they were super friendly and helpful. Like if I asked for directions or whatever, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. And so I ended up going into Albuquerque, And I was checking out Old Town, which is really cool. It's like this area that has a lot of more of the traditional cultural architecture, and they have folks who were selling things that were much more of just kind of like your local like blankets and hats and little like Native American dolls, and just it was really neat because I had brought our video camera gear, and so we were just capturing all this B-roll footage. So when it's all put together, if you're interested, I'll show you the final result. But one of the things I thought was very fascinating was that they have this huge hot air balloon festival that happens in October. And they literally have between 550 to 600 hot air balloons that all go up into the sky together. It's this huge event that like apparently attracts hundreds of thousands of people. Like they all bring their families and they're all checking, they go for rides and they take tons of pictures and stuff. So I'm thinking, Steve.
Oh, here we go.
I'm thinking a field trip might be in order in our near future. Field trip. Because I mean, the most I've seen take off, like when I lived in Nevada, for instance, they had something similar to that. But I mean, that was probably 50 hot air balloons, which by itself still is like, oh, this is actually really neat to check out all these hot air balloons that are taking off and stuff. But to see hundreds of them, it's like, man, that has got to be a visual spectacle. So if you're interested, Steve, you know, I mean, New Mexico is just to the left of us if you're looking at the map. I mean, it's like right next door.
It's a 30-hour drive, no problem.
Anyway, played more Anthem. I started to play Devil May Cry 5. I really feel like that is a game that I think I want to watch you play because I just feel like I'm double timing when I'm playing the games. I've watched you play so many of the other DMC games. Yeah. I'm like, this is a game that I need to have Steve come over so I can just enjoy watching him play. Because I'm like, I'm playing it. And like, I mean, once again, it's Capcom. And Capcom is just killing it this year with both Resident Evil 2 Remake and then, of course, with DMC 5. Like, the graphics are just really impressive. And of course, it's like totally over the top. Was it the older titles were kind of over the top too? Like in terms of silliness, or was it more?
They definitely got silly. The first one wasn't really silly. I mean, it was more sassy than silly.
Yeah.
But then Devil May Cry 2 came out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let's get it on, rock and roll," and then it just kind of kept it. So it kind of carried it from Devil May Cry 2. So I mean, definitely present in the third one. That's kind of started when I was waning off there.
Oh, well, maybe you can humor me. Maybe you can humor this poor old 40-year-old.
Man.
Come on over and show him a thing or two. Show him a good time.
Man.
Of course, we were playing some Sekiro that we will get into later on since that is our topic of the day. I am happy to report to you, Steve, that Team Ninja and DOA Tech liked another photo collage of mine on Twitter, which I'm very excited about. I've been having a blasty blast, just having fun with the camera that's in Dead or Alive 6.
I've noticed you're blowing up my phone. I get home and I check on Twitter, see what's going on. It's like, oh, yeah, Russ just posted this. Russ just posted that. Russ just posted Russ. Okay, well, apparently no one else is in my Twitter feed posting anything.
Yeah, you need to follow some more people, Steve.
I guess.
But no, it was just a lot of fun to be able to continue doing that. And I'm going to continue doing so. I'm going to continue just going through the roster of characters and just having fun being a photographer in a video game, just being able to tap into my marketing artist skills. And it was really cool. And what was nice too is that there were several other people who really enjoyed the pics as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a fun way to be creative within the gaming community. So, also, I received some new prints in the mail I'm very excited about. I received a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse print that you have not seen yet, Steve. I need to show you after the program. But it's really, really cool. It takes the same type of visual style that the movie had.
Of course.
And I don't know. Hopefully you'll dig it. I think it's super cool.
I'm sure I'll dig it or I'll dug it.
And it glows in the dark.
It's a nightlight picture.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I got was I received some artist proofs from, I think his name is John Keeley. I really hope I'm not butchering his name. I'm going to look it up right now. But anyway, he does a lot of really, really awesome, like it's almost like pinup Americana style illustrations. But he does it with like a lot of, like currently he's going through like DC. So like he's doing Wonder Woman, he's doing Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, that sort of thing. Yeah. But no, I was super happy because he had this set of Poison Ivy prints, and when they went up for sale, I was only able to snag one before they all got sold out. And I was like, oh, great. However, I am happy to report that he actually had an artist proof selection get mailed to him, and he started selling them. To give you an idea, he only had 20 copies of each of those Poison Ivy artist proofs, and so I was able to snag the 2 that I was not able to get before. So
okay, Russ, when are you gonna start hanging some of these up?
That actually, it's John Cavini. That's what it is. John Cavini Designs. I'm a huge fan of his, and so much so that I mispronounced his last name.
I thought you were going to say John Cusack for a minute. I'm like, no, can't be.
Yeah, this is bizarre. But good question, Steve. That actually is the birthday present that I have asked / requested, even though that probably means the same thing. From my wife, actually. She was asking, she's like, what would you like to do for your birthday? I said, honestly, what would be a great birthday present is to be able to get some of the prints that I have collected over the years matted and framed, because as you know, the walls in my house are naked. So I am very much interested in going through, curating the collection, if you will, and picking out certain key pieces. And I assured her, I'm like, look, I'm not looking to try and get everything, because I have a lot. Like even my wife, who used to actually hang art in a gallery museum, she was even saying, she's like, you have enough prints to actually have your very like own gallery in a museum. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sift through everything, get kind of a game plan strategy of just what I would like to see hung first and where. And so my loving wife has assigned certain rooms that are deemed okay to be able to hang such geekery. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that perhaps I'll be able to actually have some of the stuff hung maybe in a couple of weeks.
There you go.
So when it's up, I will have to show you. Maybe I'll take some pictures and post it on either social media or Patreon or something.
Sounds good, Russ.
Mm-hmm. Let me think here. Oh, did you see the Borderlands 3 announcement from today?
No, I didn't. I figured you want to show me.
Well, I don't have anything queued up at the moment.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Really?
Well, sorry, I was going to click on it, but
yeah, I brought it right up. Look it up. Oh, well, let's give it a watch. What? Yeah.
So, is he gonna get to the game here or what? Right?
Oh, this is the teaser trailer, my friend. My brother from the same mother.
Seeing quite the collage.
And watch what happens as the camera pans away. What does it create? Oh! Mayhem is coming. So that was the teaser trailer that they released earlier this morning, and they went on at PAX East 2019. Had the whole like rollout. They had another trailer where it showed actual gameplay footage and that sort of thing. But this trailer in particular, I was just going gaga over because I love the approach. I love how they took all these different characters and guns and just different types of props and stuff. And they had this whole collage set up. It could have been like a sculpture, really.
Right.
But the idea being that like you're going through like the world that is Borderlands that everybody knows and loves. And then once you're able to see everything from like a close-up macro level, then the camera starts to pull back. And then all of a sudden all the pieces just align and it's the Psycho Bandit mask. I absolutely loved it. I contacted a buddy of mine over at Gearbox who he's the director of marketing. And I was just texting him like, dude, that was sick. And he was laughing and he's like, yeah, dude, I'm glad you liked it. Da, da, da. And
did you guys give each other like a emoji homie handshake? Hey, dude, yeah, cool.
No,
right.
No.
Snap, snap.
He was actually, he was pretty busy because they were also having to take care of like Twitch and doing the whole marketing
of course, yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Because they were live at PAX East when the thing was going on there too. But no, it was super cool. Absolutely love it. And it's just fun to look at just because I can't remember if I've mentioned this before on the program, but I worked on Borderlands 2. I was in the marketing department.
We know that, Russ.
And it was so fun. Well, I know you know it.
I think you mentioned
don't try and discount my glory days, Steve. Don't you try and tone it down, okay?
It's your 40th birthday, Russ. We'll give you this.
Yeah. You know, don't hate. Appreciate. Twinkle, twinkle, baby. Twinkle, twinkle. So, no, it was super cool because I was thinking to myself, how on earth are they going to present Borderlands 3? Like, what kind of style are they going to use? I am so impressed with this particular approach. I think it is brilliant, creatively speaking, just like how they did that. And it really just speaks to, once again, like it's just you're stepping back into the world, the ecosystem, the craziness of Borderlands. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you had a chance to check out any of the other stuff that they were
Russ.
showing or talking about, but sounds like you were a little busy today.
I was.
I made a point to call people over in the office and gather around the old computer to watch some of the goodness taking place.
Glad you have that freedom, Russ.
Now, one of the things that was a little touch and go was they did have some technical difficulties at the show itself. Apparently, the crew from PAX were the ones who were providing the hardware, like just, the laptop or whatever it was, to be able to play videos and stuff like that. Apparently, they were using some sort of outdated it must have been a laptop from like 1995, but like
it was probably my laptop.
Yeah. when it came time to actually showing like the trailers, they froze.
Oh.
Like as in the gameplay announcement trailer for Borderlands 3, as well as they had another one for Borderlands 2 that was more of like a remastered 4K edition. Both trailers were just choking, and you could see Randy up there. I mean, he was just getting pissed because it's like this is his baby. Like this is the franchise that is probably the most well-known franchise from Gearbox Software. And to have that happen, like they didn't bring any of their own gear. And so I think there's probably going to be some conversations about, in the future, they'll bring their own stuff so that kind of thing doesn't happen again. But luckily they were able to, they ended up like replaying the Borderlands 3 like reveal gameplay trailer, and they were able to make some changes. Like I think they turned off like the main big screen and left the side screen still on. And so then I think that helped to rechannel some of the horsepower or something. So then the game was actually playing at like, it looked like it was either, I don't know, maybe 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I couldn't quite tell. But anyway, congrats to all the folks on there. Apparently they've been working on that for like the past 5 years or so. I'm glad that you had that queued up on your phone though, Steve. I was not planning on actually watching it with you.
Now, did you see the game? Yeah, I'm sure you saw the gameplay.
I did.
Okay.
I did indeed.
Do you want to watch it here?
Well, it is a bit long.
Okay, never mind. I'll watch it on my own. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, you can easily find it. I'm sure it's available on YouTube and that sort of thing. But what did you think of the teaser trailer overall in terms of the idea?
I liked it. I think they should have give us a little bit more of a snippet at the end. I mean, yeah,
it's a teaser.
There's a teaser. Yeah, I know. They kind of like to goose us a little bit, like, ooh,
yeah,
it's a what? But I would have liked to see something a little bit more like, related to the game. Like if someone turned their head at the last minute and looked at us like, oh, I know that guy. That's Jack, sort of thing. I don't know.
Well, and actually, I'm glad that you said that too, because they have dropped a ton of Easter eggs in that teaser trailer. So if you're a hardcore fan of Borderlands, you're going to want to actually look at quite a few things that they have going on in there, because there are certain, I can't remember, like there's certain codes that are in there that you could use for like Borderlands 2 to actually activate something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but a lot of the visuals that perhaps, because it is overwhelming looking at just the sheer number of items that are in there, and especially, it looks gorgeous. The camera's weaving in and out. So if you were to actually go and pause it quite a bit, apparently there are a lot of things in there that harken to the fandom of Borderlands itself. So to round things out, Steve, I also was playing some Peggle 2 with my daughter, which is always lovely. I introduced her to Geometry Wars 2, which I have not played in a long time. Did you ever play Geometry Wars?
Negative.
You need to try that game out. That is a fun, classic, top-down shooter.
I got a C in geometry in high school.
But Steve, this is the kind of game I think is for you, because it's the kind of game where if you get frustrated with geometry, you just blow up the geometry. I am really shocked that you've never played Geometry Wars.
I have seen the game. I have not played the game.
It really does. It reminds me so much of like the classic 80s style, basic shooter, survival kind of thing.
Phenomenal. That sounds phenomenal, Russ.
Oh, it was. And it is. Now, I also was playing more Rayman Legends with my daughter, because she's also a Rayman fan. I gotta say, Steve, I'm very, very happy at the rate at which she is becoming more and more of a gamer. It puts steam in my stride, Steve.
There you go. It's good, Ron.
Well, bust out your katanas and rub your Buddha bellies. It's time for the topic of the day. Topic of the day is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Or thrice.
Or many more times.
Or 500 times.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Gotta say, Steve, with Sekiro, this is a game that both of us have been looking forward to ever since we saw it at E3. There were two of these games that were demonstrated, one at the Xbox press conference and then one at Sony's.
Yes, Russ, that's Sony, yeah.
Now, which one, I can't remember which press conference that Sekiro was shown. I think it was the Xbox one.
It was the Xbox one, Russ.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the game itself is developed by From Software, which of course is known for more of its extremely hard difficulty games, but it has certainly won over a considerable size of the gaming audience who they love how crazy hard their games are. And the games themselves are well designed. It's just, man, if you want a challenge, you go to From Software.
If you enjoy dying and breaking your controller, you know exactly where to go.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So I ended up getting the game. It came out earlier last week, and was definitely looking forward to sitting down and checking it out. I actually am glad that the game is as hard as it is, just because ninja, shinobi style, samurai warrior, just that style of game has always been more difficult than a lot of other genres. It doesn't matter if you're playing Ninja Gaiden or, like to your point, Tenchu back in the day, that was a classic. Even Revenge of Shinobi, just the Shinobi series on Sega, it certainly had a certain level of difficulty where it forced you to learn the different combat mechanics of the game. And they did so unapologetically, where I would find
you can't do it. Well, you suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, really? Oh, I'll get better then.
It was like a lot of games, like they tend to incorporate similar types of button presses in order to negotiate your way through a certain obstacle, right? So oftentimes I would find that I would be kind of on autopilot in a way where like I have muscle memory in my hands of like, oh, I need to get out of this tight situation, so I'm used to doing it this way. And what's really cool about these types of games is that they really do punish you for that type of approach. Like, no, you need to sit back and really pay attention to how we have set this game up. And then once you do that, suddenly you're really rewarded by how deep and engaging the game really is. I'm not at that point yet with Sekiro, though. I mean, I've only played it for one evening, but the game itself, oh man, I died so many times.
Yeah. Imagine sitting next to you watching you die and not being very entertained, Russ.
Well, and I'm telling you, like it's weird because I'm a competent gamer. I have a ton of titles under my belt. I'm not like some gaming newbie of sorts, and so going through, it's like, man, this is all right. Let me try and figure this out. Now, since that time, I have watched a couple of tutorial videos on YouTube from other folks who are farther along in the game than I am. And there are certain things that really, I don't know, my next go of the game, I think I'm going to be a bit more successful. One of the things they talk about in the game is that stealth is really helpful. Instead of just taking people on, it's really good to be able to actually use the verticality of the level design to your advantage, be able to get the drop on folks and be able to kind of do those stealth kills. It really helps thin the herd, if you know what I'm saying. And then another thing was there's apparently some kind of jump move where, like, if you're taking on some kind of mini boss and they have some kind of special attack that they do, you can jump in the air and attempt to land on their head and hit the jump button again, and it'll kind of like, I guess it like kicks them in the head or something. But essentially it sets them up for one of those like fatal blows. So I'm going to give that a try, because I was getting used to the grappling hook last night. I couldn't even get the shurikens to work. Like, when you were still here, I found the ability to like update the shinobi prosthetic and put the shuriken thing in there. And it looked to me like you just press Y in order to launch shurikens, but I could never get them to come out. So, little things like that. Like, once I get the hang of things. Oh, that was another thing too. Remember like how I was attempting to drink the health potion, but I couldn't get it to work. And so it looked like my character was like scratching its butt over and over and over again. I'm like, what is the deal? Well, apparently you had to go into the pause menu and you have to actually assign these different types of items.
That makes sense.
Which I thought that it would just auto-populate because I didn't have anything. As the game begins, you don't have any items. So naturally I would think, oh, well, it should just fill those slots in. That was not the case, Steve.
Important safety tip there, Russ.
It is.
Yeah.
Indeed. Also, were you here when I was trying out the ash?
I don't believe I was.
Okay, that is actually really effective. I was testing that out, and it's great. You throw a cloud of ash into the guy's general vicinity, and suddenly they are no longer relentlessly attacking you. And so you're like, oh, well, allow me to say hello. So,
yeah, imagine if you get ash in your eye, you might not be as aggressive, Russ.
Indeed. But I really do love what I'm seeing so far. What was interesting was that the very first level, I found that the frame rate, like the frames per second, seemed a little more choppy. And then it was like, once I got through that initial intro where I lose my arm and then I'm in this next level, suddenly it was like the frames per second were doubled and everything was like silky smooth.
Interesting.
Did you notice that?
No, I didn't, but I've heard other people talk about that, where they say, both on PlayStation and Xbox, that there are every once in a while some dips in frame rate. Not too often to really complain about it, but they do take a little bit of a dip.
Yeah. What do you think of the visual approach?
So the visual approach, from what I saw, it definitely looks beautiful. It looks pretty, but it looks a little bit too plain. Like in the daytime, I'm like, oh, this is great. And then nighttime, I thought, oh, this is not great. You know, I mean, it looked really, really plain. Not like, okay, it's a flat wall with some rock textures. They're flat on there, but I mean, it didn't really do much for me at nighttime. In the daytime, you could see the leaves and the dirt and the colors in the sky and like the wind blowing. I mean, there's so much more to see during the daytime. They didn't really make night that special. But I'm surprised that there is not a whole lot of enemies. I mean, there are like in little groups here and there. You know, it's kind of spotty. But once you found somebody, more might sneak up on you. But you do kind of have to travel a little bit to find where you're going and who to fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that is a result of just me being towards the beginning of the game, and it's just trying to introduce me to, here are different types of characters that obviously have different strategies as to like how they behave, how you're supposed to engage them in combat. So I was looking on YouTube. There is a ton of different types of characters that you come across in the game. I just think I'm just not that far. So they're just trying to show me the ropes, and by showing me, it's more like they're like whipping me and hanging me by those ropes. So, but yeah, to your point, it's interesting because the on the one hand, some of the graphics in the game are really beautiful. It's like, oh wow, this is really pretty. But there is kind of a stiffness, I want to say, to the visual approach that I'm not too keen on. And I don't know if that was just a limited thing in certain areas. And, once I get farther into the game, maybe that goes away or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it was something I did take note of. I do really like the animations though. I think the movements of all the characters are just really fluid. And I have always loved games that take place in ancient feudal Japan. There's something about it that there's just like a majestic quality of sorts that's in there. And I really do I think it's because these types of games are so few and far between that when another one gets released, it's like, oh good, we get to go back to this realm again. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. The music is beautiful. I don't know if you caught any of the music when I was playing.
Well, gee whiz, Russ, you had it turned down so low not to wake anybody up. I'm like, do I hear music or is that the wind blowing? I don't know.
Is that music or is that the guy whose throat just got slashed is just curdling and gurgling?
Yeah, it sounds like classical. Oh, maybe not. No, that's not classical.
I don't know if you want to stick around after this recording or not, Steve, but I'm willing to turn up the volume for you if you want to listen to some of that.
Quite possibly, Russ. Mm-hmm. Then again, quite possibly not.
Did you ever play any of the older titles from Software?
No.
Okay.
Typically, I don't like breaking my controllers. I'm cheap. I don't want to go out and buy more.
Yeah, I understand. I definitely understand. I think they're the ones who came up with the Dark Souls series.
Yes, they are, Russ. Yeah.
And I never played that. I was curious about it because I thought the graphics engine was pretty cool. But hearing how crazy difficult the game was, I was like,
Everybody said it was hard.
Yeah. So we'll see how far I get in this game. It might be that like it is just too hard and I cannot deal with it, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Because as you said, Steve, I tend to excel at these types of games. I can force my way through it.
Now, what do you think of the sound effects? We talked about music a little bit. What do you think of the sound effects?
I like the sound effects. I don't think that I wasn't able to get very far in the game because I kept dying so much. Nice. So it's not like I could hear everything, but like as I was unlocking more things, there were various sound effects in the game that like, oh, that's really nice. Like I like of course the clashing of katanas was very satisfying. If you are delivering death blows, I mean they're pretty juicy in terms of it's like, man, that sounds awful.
Sounds like it hurts.
Yeah. Sounds like he's going to feel that in the morning, or maybe not at all.
I didn't think, and again, it could have just been a level of sound, but when you clang swords with somebody, it did sound like they used that same sound effect from the 16-bit era. It made kind of a ting sort of sound from the older Shinobi games, and I thought, you got anything better than that?
There's something about those sounds though that I really love. To me, it's just timeless. It's like, yeah, this is a ninja style game, so it's definitely very, very nice. Also, I really like how the option to listen to all the dialogue can be in Japanese.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And I actually really like how they made it so that is the default, and so it forces you to read the subtitles. To me, that brings another level of authenticity to the game.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, the whole
Well,
thing.
it just sounds kind of weird too. I watched a couple of videos of the game in regular English, and it sounds fine, but it just looks weird to have ancient feudal Japan and hear somebody going, "I will assassinate you. I will go to you and murder." And you're like, wait, what? That guy from Great Britain, or is he from Japan? I don't really know. Like, what?
Something about this just isn't quite working for me.
I can't put my finger on it, but and I've never been to Japan, but I think they have a different dialect.
Yeah. And again, going back to the YouTube videos, there are many battles that I look forward to. Like there's like a scene where like there's like monkeys with swords or something. I mean, just some kind of
spooky.
But the cool thing about it is it's not like South Park or something like that. Like it's actually like way that they have created like just the art assets of the monkeys themselves. I don't know. They look super cool. Like I think what's nice about this game is that they have made kind of like this fantastical vision of ancient feudal Japan. So as a result, you have characters that, quite honestly, I mean, I was kind of thinking about Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, where like you had certain like these kind of fantasy oriented creatures that you'd have to battle and stuff. I'm not saying that this game is at that level in terms of like every single enemy being that way, but there are certain enemies where like you're like, oh wow, this is more creative, this is pretty cool, and for some reason it really does fit. Like it's not like some sort of clashing of design or anything like that. It's like, okay, well, there is certainly a lot to look forward to, and I hope I can actually get there. I was thinking about how if I can't get any farther into the game,
first level.
Well, yeah, like technically I think it's the second level. But
my bad.
I really do hope that they have some kind of cheat code, like give me like invincibility or something. Like I'm not gonna abuse it. I'm certainly gonna make a valiant effort to get through the game, but there's so much that I want to see that if I cannot get through the game, I mean, I may have to use it just so I can actually enjoy seeing all that the game has to offer in there. And I will be 100% transparent if I do. I'll be like, you know what, Steve? I use the invincibility code.
Man, I can remember Sega Genesis and Sega CD days where I used to play shooters and think, I'm so tired of dying and not getting past the 6th level, and I got like 30 more levels to go. There's no way I'm going to be there. And so I'd use a code and I'd just be invincible and just blow through the game and think, man, there's no way I would be able to beat this on without the code. There was no way.
There was a space shooter game that
I played a ton of them. Yeah.
I know there was one in particular where like we just could not get through it. I remember this. It was a Japanese developer that made the game, and it just got to the point where we're like, dude, we've got to use the code. Like we cannot get through it. And then like we use it, and so we're getting farther and farther, and we're like, there is no way. I remember us talking as we're playing. We're like, there is no way.
Like the entire screen is covered in bullets and like
lasers.
Yeah.
Crazy chaos. I'm like, I don't see how anybody could possibly even do this without the cheat code.
Right.
I wonder what that game was.
I don't know.
I remember that though. Like that there was that one game in particular where it was like, dude, it was like the developers was just they handed like a big FU to all the gamers. like there was no way anybody could get through all that.
And then you'd think at the end they'd give you some really accomplishing ending, and then it's just like one picture of him.
Yeah, you see like a bitmap of something. You're like,
and it's the credits. You're like, oh man, I fought through all that. Man, nuts.
Although that was the glory days where like, you know, you weren't rewarded with a lot of the swag and panache and everything else. Like it was just like game over. you won.
Start over again.
And then you felt accomplished. You're like, yeah, I beat that game. That was back when the games were hard.
Yep. And they were complete and finished.
Indeed.
No patches, no downloads, no wait a minute, let's fix that and let you go back to it.
It was reliable. If it got a little funky, you just blew some air into the cartridge. And you also blew some air into where the cartridge slot was located. And by golly, that worked.
That fixed all your
problems.
problems.
Like a charm.
Yeah. It's not working. What's that? Tap the system a little bit. And okay, we're going.
It's the equivalent of like what a game system is to like one of those like old school cars, you know, where you take a wrench and like, if for nothing else, you kind of clang on it for a bit, and all of a sudden the car ignites and it turns over and starts. You're like, that's all you needed. Can't really do that these days with the newer cars.
No, can't do that. Nor can you do that with computers, Russ.
No, that would be very anti-productive or counterproductive. Either way, it's bad.
Very counter strike, right?
Would you have any concluding thoughts about Sekiro?
When you get good at it, why don't you invite me back over so I can watch you and actually be entertained?
Man, burn. See how it is. How about you try it out? I want to see you try it.
Right.
Watch, you're like a prodigy at it. You're like, I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah, what's your problem?
Yeah, with that old man. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you should. I think you should try it one time. Just I want to see how you do. But yeah, any other concluding thoughts about the game, Steve?
No, Russ. I think actually what happened was I was so bored that I fell asleep or got the nods at the time when it was telling you about you losing your arm.
What was it that time?
Yeah, because I was looking through I knew the guy lost his arm, but in the beginning of the game, it didn't look like he had already lost his arm. And so I'm watching and I'm like, he's got his arm. So something's going to happen a little bit later on. And then later on, I was in La La Land and man.
Yeah, and for those of you who weren't aware, we were twitching live and all of a sudden like Steve's over there like totally quiet, not a peep. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? And so I like lean over he's like on the floor on his back, totally asleep. I'm like, what the heck?
You alive yet? No, wake me when you get good. Okay, I'll go back to sleep.
Oh, man. I, for one, though, like I said, I'm going to keep the faith. I'm going to see what I can do to try and get farther into the game. The game itself, other than the difficulty, I mean, it is really cool. I really do like the grappling hook ability. I've been able to get much more organic with it and just being able to toss it up there, get out of hostile situations, get the drop on people, that sort of thing. I've gotten much more used to the sword play.
Is there any other finishing moves? This seems like there's one finishing move.
See, I don't know. Like, I'm literally just getting used to the button mapping of what is parry versus what is dodge versus jump versus slash. And I've seen other types of finishing moves on YouTube. Once again, YouTube is like the place where I was getting kind of a better idea of the game. So I think it has more to do with the fact that I don't really know what I'm doing yet. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I like I said, other than the difficulty, I think that it is a really cool game. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can become a much better shinobi overall, and we'll just have to see how it goes.
Okay, Russ.
So that wraps up this episode of Joygasm. Make sure you tune in next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to check out patreon.com/Joygasm and consider becoming a monthly contributor. You'll get exclusive perks and early access to the show. Not to mention, it really helps us continue doing what we love to do. Also, you can follow us on social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, and SoundCloud.com/Joygasm TV. Last but not least, search Joygasm TV on Twitch to see us stream our gaming adventures live every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Time, as well as listening to Steve snore. We'll see you next week.
Bye.